Is about my experience in primary boarding school. I joined boarding school at the age of 8, and I think I have a few reservations about boarding school. Yes. This is a series of short stories talking about the things we used to do in school. And now as an adult, I'm just wondering, why did we used to do these things that way? Why would teachers behave that way? Why were matrons like that? And so it's kind of a reflection that I make. I'm just trying to help parents. If you want to take your child to boarding school, these are the things you should expect, especially if you don't do your research and things like that. So it's basically about primary boarding school and my views on the Ugandan education and culture system.
You said you went to boarding school at 8.
Yes, I did at the age of 8.
What do you think about that right now that you are an adult? Should kids go that young? Should they be taken to boarding school and left without, that close proximity to their parents? No,
actually, I think also the reason I write the book is I think these are very early ages, and so these are formative ages, and I think children need to be with their parents, and I think that is really too early. Honestly, if you read the book, you will find that I am tending towards the side of that is really too early for our child to be alone and independent. So I just go on talking about my experience, and I think how these formative ages are very important because the environment you grow in, the things that, the way you are raised really affects the adult that you become. And so for me, that was my inspiration for writing the book, because I feel like so much that happened when I was young and the stories that I write about in the book really shaped who I turned out to be, which is not necessarily bad, but not everyone turns out to be like me. Some people end up being, for lack of a better word, damaged or broken, and you cannot exactly, traumatized is the right word, and you cannot undo that when you're an adult.
Just looking back at your first day, you are 8, mommy tells you or daddy tells you you're going to boarding school. What was your thinking, and what was your first experience just entering that school and knowing that you're not going to go back home?
Honestly, I'm not going to lie, I was so excited. I didn't know. I was just young. I didn't know. But my sister had heard about stories about this school. So she told my parents, it's not good to go to boarding school. I've heard stories about this school. But me, I was like, no, you're trying to, you're trying to stop my progress and stuff. I didn't listen to her. I should have known better. And so they take me, I go do interviews. I go with my mother. I go do interviews. And honestly, the school looked beautiful and I was so excited. But then the actual day one of going, with my suitcase, metallic suitcase, I have my brooms, bucket and stuff. I felt kind of independent, but it only hit me. So my mom pushed me to the dormitory, we laid the bed and stuff. People were nice. But now you see, you're finding kids that are now already used to this. They've been here for long. And so I walk my mother to the gate, and that is when it dawns on me, when I see her getting lost inside, and I'm like, oh my God, I am going to be here alone.
Getting out of sight.
Yes, but that's not why I chose the title.
Well, okay, so just thinking about all that experience, you're 8 years old, you've been taken to boarding school. You're right now an adult.
Yes.
Do you have kids of your own?
No, I don't.
Not yet?
Yes, not yet.
But do you think, or what are some of the reasons you think that maybe probably parents, because I know there are so many parents out there who do the same. Like, what do you think is the thinking behind saying, you know what, I have my kid, 8 years old, but I need to take this kid to boarding school? What do you think is the reason behind that?
So just so you know, when I was writing this book, I interviewed around 90 people. These also included parents. And let me tell you, most of the feedback that I received was, this is a 9 to 5. People are working 9 to 5. So it is so hard for them to balance taking their children to school, work responsibilities, they have bills to pay, and another family, because most of them don't have one child. So they have all these responsibilities going on, and it would be better to transfer the responsibility to someone else. And most of the feedback I got, people are busy, they're looking for money, and they want the best for us, but how are they going to do that without going to work? And so you see, the only alternative is to take the children to boarding school. So that is part of the feedback that I got. But also what I kept on thinking about was, why are you passing on the responsibility of raising your child to someone else you don't know? You don't know their values, you don't know what they stand for, you don't know the systems and structures in place, and you're really trusting them with the entire life of your child, and you have no idea how they're going to turn out. So for me, that is just the reflections I'm thinking about in the book, with the stories that I share.
Indeed, very hard things to think about, like as parents. You need to think about all the things. And well, if you have just joined us, I'm here with Lindzy Byamugisha, who wrote a book, Out of Sight, about her experience in boarding school. She was taken to boarding school at the age of 8, such a toddler, and she experienced a number of things. But what is your experience? Were you taken to boarding school? Go to our Facebook page, social media platforms like Facebook or Twitter. Just look out for my name, Idris Matusegawa, and tell me, what do you think? What was your experience? Is she right? Is boarding school terrible, or is it something that you can actually experience and come out better? Now, coming back to you, Lindzy.
Yes.
In the book, there's a story that you wrote and you titled Breadcrumbs of My Memory.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you talk about some of the myths that you had as students, including burying your nails so that days could fly by.
Yes, oh yes.
How did that happen? And did it work?
Yes, and I just don't know, because I talk about it, the odds must have been in our favor, because honestly, we had these things that we used to do. So we would cut our nails, and if you wanted the days to go by, you know, when you're in school, there's that thing about the days dragging and stuff like that.
Oh my God, when do I go back home?
Exactly. So we would cut our nails and literally bury them, and somehow, I don't know, that it was just our mentality, but days would go by so fast. And so that's one of the things we used to do. Was it
some juju that was
Well, I did try it as an adult. Exactly.
To be researched. And in another story, very interesting stories that you have in the book, you talk about punishment.
Yes.
Punishment, punishment, punishment.
Yes.
I remember myself, I was in high school, and one time we skipped school to play Nintendo all days. For some of you might not even know what Nintendo is. And we got punished. We got, like, they would take us to every stream of our class and be caned. So what are your views on punishment, and what kind of punishment did you experience?
Well, I wouldn't want to unpack everything that is in the book, because I
just
need
give us
to buy the
little
book.
Sneak peek.
Yes, a sneak peek. I think one of the punishments that I write about, and I think is a core to the book, is chapter 3, which is rain on the bridge. So I'll just give an example, and then I'll stop. I won't unpack the whole story. So we come late, 5 minutes late, and the teacher tells us we are late. So he asks us to kneel at the bridge. So we kneel at the bridge, and it starts raining. So it rains, and he tells us not to leave. But also we are taught to respect our elders, and what they say is always the truth. So we stay there in the rain, and after it rains, when it's done raining, I think he thinks in his head that this is not enough punishment for them. They really need to learn time management and stuff. So he asks us to lie in the grass, wet grass. It has rained on us, our uniforms. Some of us don't have sweaters on. We are now laying in grass.
Wow.
Do you know how that feels? Like, I think...
What class is this?
Then I was in P6.
P6.
So we were 11 at that age.
Oh dear.
So the rest of the story, the punishment goes on. So you'll have to find out when you read the book. But for me, 2 things. Why punish so heavily like that? But also, if you're deciding to punish someone, I think the punishment should relate to what they have done. So I don't know why lying in wet grass was a punishment for time management. I think there are better ways to punish people in order to teach them these core values that we want. Another example is I was beaten 22 times for something. You'll have to find out in chapter 5.
Teasing us, definitely.
It's called A Perfect Storm. I also write about it in the book. I was beaten 22 times. Why would you beat me 22 times? I was only 12 years old.
Yeah.
I remember my arms got swollen. So I went to the sick bay, and the nurse was my mother's friend. So she called my mother and told her, oh my God, they have beaten Lindzy and her hands are swollen. My mom came to school the next day. And this was the first time she saw firsthand everything that I had been telling her for all these years, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm ready to change schools and stuff." But I said, "No, it's okay," because it was one month to UNEB. PLE, and I was like, you know what, I have survived all these things, why not complete the rest? So for me, I think the most important thing should be, if you're teaching me, if I get a math number wrong, you're trying to make me remember that math number. How about instead of beating me, you give me 10 of those numbers, because then that way I will not forget. Why? Because of the consistency of doing it over and over again.
And you're teaching me.
Exactly, you're teaching me. So I think beating, especially severely, is not a way to do.
So in other words, you're saying that punishment should be there, but it should be equivalent to what the student has done.
Exactly.
And also it shouldn't be about beating all the time, because like the example you've given, it could be educational punishment.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there is a recent trend of parents who do not want their kids punished at all. Like at all. Like, don't touch my kid. So if you send your kid to boarding school, you don't want them to be punished, even if it's a lenient punishment. How then do you expect this child to be raised? Because then you're not doing the raising. We spend more time at school. What do you think about that? So
now there's, I think, two things now there. One, I think the school should be transparent enough. If as a parent I bring my child to the school, you should be able to tell me boldly that if your child does not do their assignment and hand it in time, I am going to beat her 22 times, you see? So that way I know what to expect and I am not caught by surprise. And I think that is why I chose the title Out of Sight. These are things they don't tell you. And the school I went to was a nice school. It was a nice school. When you go there on VD, everything looked nice. Teachers and matrons are talking so good about you. It's so hard for the parent to believe that all these things are going on with your child. But I think the schools need to be transparent and say, for us here, this is how we do things. So that as a parent, you know. You're not caught off guard. Exactly. You're not surprised. Exactly. When you're so when your child calls you and like, oh my God, I've been beaten. Detention for 3 hours, I didn't sleep, you see? You know that is it. But also the other thing is, I think parents need to be involved in their children's lives. Talk to your child. And I think this should start at an early age. Talk to your child. Ask them, so today what happened at school? And that way they'll be able to tell you even when the small things happen. But also you're able to influence how you raise your child. Indeed. And one of the hardest times I think we had, well, at school was exams. Exams. Well, without giving out, of course, what you talk about in the book, what's your view on that? What should be changed today? First of all, I think we learn so many things that we do not apply later on as in our lives. But maybe what should change is, I think I have a problem with, we are different. We have different abilities, and yet all of us are somehow forced to do the same exam. We have the same grading system. We are marked the same as if we are the same, and yet we are not the same. So I think something needs to change. I think we need to reach a stage where we are able to choose that this is what I want to do and pursue that. And then this I don't want. I don't think this is my strong suit. And leave that. And I will not do that. Which brings me to the education system that we have in Uganda, plus the syllabus. Yes. Does it need to change? Is it too old? Do you think the ministry lost a chance of using these 2 years that kids weren't at school to change the syllabus? Do you think we shall get another opportunity? Well, I think things should have changed already, especially because I think there is so much that is needed in the work environment that is not being taught in our schools. Yeah. And I think things like what I was saying, 21st century skills, things like critical thinking, problem solving need to be incorporated in our school system, in our syllabus, instead of this whole thing of cramming, you need to pass this paper and stuff like that. So I think so much needs to be done and added to the syllabus so that you leave school when you're well groomed, you know, you're full package, and instead of learning things that you're really not going to apply. So I think it can still be done, though I think the time has...
We hope so. We have hope. Well, Lindzy, thank you so much for coming through. You have a book. Please show it to the camera so that people can see it. That's Out of Sight by Lindzy Byamugisha. Yeah. Wonderful book. How do we get it?
So you can contact me personally. My social media, Twitter, Instagram, Lindzy Byamugisha. Yes.
That's it?
You want me to give out my number?
Is it available in bookstores?
Not
online?
Yet. Not yet. But I can give them my Airtel. I think that one I don't mind.
Okay, please, read it.
0750 150 702.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much. Go reach out and read the book, Out of Sight. It's very good culture to read books. Read books, not only social media, TikTok, that you can find wonderful information. Well, let's take a short break, which I'll be right back.
Watching Morning at NTV.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, School Fees. Select option 2, School Pay. Select option 1, Pay Fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
On the next episode
is brought to you by
Crystal Mineral Water is a sanctuary of refreshment.
On the next episode,
you see, Arturo, our past, and above all, I honestly think our relationship right now is really affecting our children in the worst way. So maybe the best thing for us is not only to end this right now, but to never see each other again, Arturo.
Everything has been very tough for me, David. We're having marriage problems. Bad times.
Did he harm you?
No, he didn't do anything like that, no. All this about my not being able to bear children has been...
Crystal Mineral Water is a sanctuary of refreshment. The quality of each crystal bottle is stringently verified.